So if you're thinking about doing a podcast, I highly suggest you use Anchor, and here's why. Now, first things first, it's free, and you can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. I'm talking dollar bills, y'all. Plus, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to the major platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a bunch of others, so that's one less thing you got to worry about. And they got all the tools you need to record and edit your podcast in one spot, and you can do all that from your phone or your computer. So, in my opinion, it's really the easiest way to make a podcast. Now, if that's what you're looking for and you're ready to jump on it, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. What up, though? Welcome to Tamara to the Break of Dawn, the show where you'll literally ride my train of thought as I discuss the different types of challenges and struggles that we all can relate to. I'm your host, Tamara Dawn, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Now, you already know the struggle could be way too real sometimes, so my hope is that these shows will challenge and inspire you as I basically share the areas that I'm trying to grow in. So let's get it. So first things first, let me just say that in no way, shape, or form am I saying that I have bipolar disorder. I am very well aware because my degree is in psychology, so I am very well aware that bipolar disorder is a mood disorder that's characterized by highs and lows, the lows being depression, which, most people know what depression is, and then the highs being manic behavior, which is a lot of times really carefree and reckless behavior, and you kind of fluctuate between the two, not necessarily super rapidly, but over, the course of some time. So I'm very well aware of what bipolar disorder really is. And it's actually kind of a pet peeve of mine when people, the weather's bipolar, just because people change a lot. That it's more than that. However, for the sake of the way most people understand bipolar, that's kind of why I went with that. Furthermore, I saw a meme, and another disclaimer, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that I'm the kind of person who is like, very much into like zodiac signs or whatever, like based on when my birthday is, according to it, I'd be labeled as a Cancer, but I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, well, I do this because I'm a Cancer, or I don't read my horoscope, or none of that stuff. But I always find the memes kind of funny. And then there are times, though, that when I read a meme, I'm like, oh, I felt that. So, that being said, I saw a meme recently, and the meme was like, Cancers be like, I love you so much, kissy face emoji, and then the next day, I don't think this gonna work out, sad face, crying face emoji. And what I will say, and what I will own up to, is that the level to which I felt that, the level to which I related to that, the level to which I was like, who is like out here telling people my business, is just funny. I felt that, and then I remember I sent it to my cousin when I seen it, because like me and feelings and how I just struggle with that whole thing, we talk about that, but I felt that, you know what I mean? And that's a lot of times why my feelings are fleeting, even if I call myself interested in somebody. If you're new to this, I'm single. I've been single for 12 years after my divorce, and I've just realized that vulnerability is something that I really struggle with, as far as talking to somebody and telling them whatever. And so I could have feelings for somebody, or think I have feelings for somebody, But I'm so hot and cold that I realize that's actually a kind of toxic trait. And so in the past, like I would be so hot and like tell people stuff if I like felt like I have feelings for them, and then none of it ever panned out to be a relationship. But what often would happen is then I would go cold. And I remember one time my mom said, "You're either hot or cold," when I was talking to her about somebody, and she said this like a long time ago. And I didn't really know what she meant by that until now I kind of understand it fully, or more fully, because that's how I am. Like I'm either all in, and this is with everything. I'm either all in or I don't have nothing to do with or want nothing to do with it. I get bored with things very easily, and so now that I kind of realize that, furthermore, I'm hot and cold, but it doesn't just stay hot or cold. It's like I fluctuate between the two. That's what I realized too about me. So it's kind of like now I'm at a point that I just don't say anything if I, feel some type of way, because I know me, and I know that is very toxic and it's very unfair to someone to, when I'm in my hot mode, oh, I'm all in, but then when I go cold, like that's unfair, because other people maybe could just stay, just kind of steady and whatever and just go with the flow. And I'm somebody that I really struggle with, like, okay, so with that whole being hot and going all in thing, now let's step aside from relationships, like, we'll say working out. That's a good one. So, and like eating right. I'm I'm the kind of person that when I first start, because this has been such a journey over like the past decade after I started gaining weight. So this has been a journey where I will go all in and then I won't see results, and then I'm like, okay, this ain't working. I'm wasting my time, or whatever will happen, and it'd fizzle out and whatever. But this year, okay, not this year, I should say, towards the beginning of, because it is a new year now. So 2019, at the beginning of 2019, I really started trying to grow in consistency. I don't like it at all, because it just feels like bondage almost, like to just have routine and whatever. But I've come to appreciate it and understand, like, things are not gonna just grow if you don't water it, and that's where the consistency comes in. And so, like, this last time with the whole fitness journey, I kind of had to be consistent with eating healthier, because I have to meal prep, because I work 2 jobs and it's just the way my schedule is set up. If I don't meal prep, then I'm going to be having to spend unnecessary money on food. So then if I'm going to meal prep, I'm going to be intentional about what I meal prep. And I remember around Thanksgiving is when I first started noticing that I was kind of starting to lose weight. Like, I remember my brother, actually, because I hosted, and my brother came over for dinner and his girlfriend, and I remember brother asked me, like, are you losing weight? And I remember when I got dressed that day and I put my shirt on, it just seemed longer than, the last time I wore it. And I was just like, huh. And I just kind of started paying attention to my clothes. But the reason that finally came about is because of consistency, of continuing to, quote unquote, water the seed, even when I wasn't seeing results. And even with going to the gym and working out, I can't even say at that point I was just like, oh, every day, because that's just, I don't necessarily have time. I mean, I guess you make time for what you really want to make time for, but I'm not a super early morning person, and the days that I work 2 jobs, leave the house at 7:30, don't get home till 10:30, and it's not realistic those days. And so I just try to I have 4 specific days a week where I try to, get, but there was a point when it was only like happening once a week. So it's not like I've just been this, but I have been consistent with the, you know, monitoring, you know, how I eat and what I eat and whatever. And so that's, one thing with me with the whole hot and cold. Like when I start off though, it's like I want to see results immediately. Like as soon as I set my mind to something, it's like I want it to happen now. I am not a patient person. I struggle with that. And so that's unfair to somebody in a relationship. And so because of that, I have I don't know. I just haven't, I just haven't. And then the whole talking phase is weird cuz it's like so like you're not really together cuz I've had like I've tried online dating before. I don't like it because I don't know. It's not for me. But I just remember when I would try that and you messaging people and you don't really know them. And so, if you don't talk to them all day, it's not really on some dude, where you been, like type stuff. Like I'm the kind of person that if my mom doesn't answer my call, I drag it out. If my kids don't answer, I drag it out. If you're somebody that is important to me and we are like close like that, I'm gonna drag it out if you don't respond to me, just because like you must, like, did you die? You know what I mean? And I don't know. Yeah, that's irrational, but that's just who I am. But you can't be doing that when you ain't really with somebody. And then on top of that, with this whole bipolar piece, that's just the title. Somebody could tell me I'm the greatest human being in the world. You're so amazing. There's no one like you. And I would still just talk myself out of like, oh, they're not going to want to be bothered, or I just know how I am, and I'm kind of extra or whatever. And so I don't know. And so then when I have those thoughts, which sure, that's negative self-talk. But to be honest, previously I was protecting myself from foolishness because every person I ever was interested in before, I was just like, something I was discerning within that they were not right. And so I don't know. That's just how I'm gonna rationalize it. But it's like you can't really be trying to check somebody like that and you have no claim to them. So then it's like, I don't know. And I struggle with small talk. Like, I want to talk about, I don't know, just stuff that I think about. Like, okay, so here's one thing I think about. I thought about it a lot, and I haven't really talked to anybody about it ever, because I'm like, so I'm gonna just put it out here, because however y'all feel about it, I ain't gonna know anyway, because I'm not there when you listening. So I don't know if dudes do this. This is so funny. Okay, so sometimes as a female, so this has to relate to going to the bathroom. Let me just, so y'all don't think it's about to be nothing too crazy. So sometimes as a female, if you go to the bathroom and like you're going pee, and if you like have to fart when you're going pee and it's in the toilet, so then because it's this almost like speaker, it amplifies the sound to make it sound like probably more is going on than what is. And so I don't even know why I'm telling y'all this, but I'm just saying this is the type of random stuff that goes through my mind that, like, if I was in a relationship, I would need to feel that comfortable to talk to you about just whatever. Like, I'm not really but hold on, let me finish the thought. So what I find is that if I'm in like at work, because that's really about the only place that I really have to use a public restroom. So if I'm at work, or let's just say I'm wherever and I have to go, I like, I don't feel free enough to just let it out, because I just feel like I don't want people to think like I'm pooping and it's that loud or whatever. And then when I find myself doing that, I be thinking like, but why do I care? Like, everybody farts, everybody goes poop, everybody does all these things. And so I think about it, like, it's actually probably, it's kind of, no, it's not embarrassing, because it is what it is, but I think about that a lot, and I just wonder, does anybody else ever think about that? And then, when I thought about that, I wonder, like, do men, because I know y'all use journals or whatever, like, I don't know, and do y'all care? Like, do y'all just poop freely? Because men seem to be a little different about that type of stuff. But, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think randomly about just all kinds of stuff. Or, like, what if and I've seen memes like this, but I've been thinking like this since way before social media was a thing. But, like, what if, when we die, or what if, like, this is all just a dream, you know what I mean? And you're gonna wake up a baby in your crib, and I don't know. I just think random things, and so it's like, I don't know. But the people that I've had, and those have mainly been the situationships. Go back and listen to Why I'm Single Part 1, where I talk more about that. The situationships and the people that I've had that type of, oh, you just go deep. See, the issue with that was that all you do is just go deep, and you talk about all this stuff, and it's this all-consuming thing, and it's been super toxic, and it's been super unhealthy, and as far as, like, boundaries and whatever, it just wasn't a good. So it's like, but that's all I know. So then trying to do anything outside of that, where you just, like, I struggle with small talk, and I really hate it. Like, yeah, it's cool for, I have people where I'm just like, oh, how was your day? Have a great day. Like, I can do it, but, like, if that's all we do, I don't know. So it's kind of like, it's hard. So then in that stage of not really knowing, I am more prone to kind of talk myself out of stuff rather than try to ride it out, because consistency is just it's a struggle for me. And I don't know, it would take like a very patient person, because like I said, like, man, listen, okay, so Thanksgiving that just passed, my mom, so there are 4 of us. I also have another sister that is not my mom's child. So I'm talking, when I say the 4 of us, I mean the 4 kids my mom brought into this world. I'm the oldest, regardless of, who I include, because I could even include step siblings too. Regardless, I'm the oldest. But my mom went to go visit my grandma for Thanksgiving, and I remember, she told me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then as it got closer, and I just started really thinking about that, and not because I would have to cook everything, because it wasn't my first Thanksgiving that I cooked on my own. It was only my 3rd, simply not because I can't cook, because I can, but it's just my mom spoils us, and so my mom cooks every, year, and as we've gotten older, of course, she'll say, oh, can you bring this or can you bring that? But for the most part, she'll just do everything. So then when which this has happened 3 years, I can tell you every year it was, 2016, 2018, and 2019, she did not spend Thanksgiving with us. So, I had to cook because I have kids, so I'm gonna have to cook regardless, is how I look at it. And then I'm like, okay, well, to my younger siblings, which my sister, we share a house, so she's already here. My brother and his girlfriend came. But anywho, leading up to that, I remember texting Mom, and I was dead serious in that moment. I was like, do you even love us? Like, why are you leaving us on Thanksgiving to go? Yeah, it's her mom, I know, but she didn't bring her mom into this earth. She brought me into this earth. She's supposed to steward me. You know what I mean? Like, God blessed her with me. She was just a regular person. I'm the oldest, so she was just a regular person before I came into her life, and then I made her a mother. You know what I mean? And I know my mom loves me, and my mom was like, oh, don't start this again, because she knows I'm dramatic, and my kids know and I'm not like super duper drag it out dramatic, but my people who know me know. So it's like, I would need somebody who is super patient, that is not moved by that, because I don't mean it in I don't know what's wrong with me, and I ain't even gonna necessarily say anything's wrong with me, because I just have to get out sometimes what's in my head, and whether it's rational or not, I just got to get it out, because I'm an external processor. And so, my dad is the same way, the dad who raised me, and I don't, which, let's just sidebar, if you're not new, you'll notice every time I say my dad, I always have to clarify the dad who raised me. And I do that for a reason, is because I've said things about my relationship with my bio dad, and for whatever reason, I don't want people to feel like, oh, well, maybe they, like, patched it up. No, he, it is what it is. So I just want to clarify that, so you understand who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. But anywho, he's the same way. I could call him and just vent, and people will just listen. And that's all I need sometimes, is just to be heard, because if you don't listen and at least let me get it out, like, don't try to tell me to feel differently or whatever. If anything, maybe explain to me, like, my mom explained, I want to go see my mom because da-da-da-da. I knew all that, but, how I felt at the moment when I text her was that she didn't love me. I know she loves me in my heart, but in my mind, in that moment, that's how I felt, and that's what I sent her, and I can do that with my mom. So that's what I'm saying, like, hot and cold, bipolar, however you want to even though it's not technically bipolar, but it's like, I always feel like, why would I take somebody through that? So whoever, and who knows, I may be single forever, but whoever may, I don't know, they don't have to be super patient with me and just not be moved, because at the same time of all that, I am loyal, and I am, like, how can I, so we'll use the situationships, for example, so I can explain what I'm trying to say. Those were all people who were kind of like me, where they were very hot and cold, very, emotionally driven, whatever. And so this is where it became toxic, and this is when I realized, because I used to always think I wanted somebody just like me because they understand me, and then I kept getting people just like me who understood me, but really they didn't. But really they did, because they did understand me, but at the same time, they didn't understand what I needed. So I got what I wanted, But then but then it was a hot mess every time, and I realized it wasn't what I needed. And then that's when I realized I need somebody who's nothing like me. I'm extra. I don't need nobody extra. I need somebody not boring, because I like to laugh and have fun. So that's not what it means. But I need you to be like more steady, because when I'm up and down per se, it's not like, oh, I don't want to be with you type stuff. So it's not playing game, it's not whatever, but it's like I question a lot. Like even with my kids, I'll be like, do you think I love you? And why do you think I love you? How do I think I love you? Or how do you think I love you? It's just how I'm wired to be very inquisitive and ask questions, and I need you to just answer the questions. Like, I don't need you to be irritated by it. I just need you to understand that that's just who I am and how I am, and just kind of, accept me as I am. And so for the people who were like me, it's like, because they were like me and they were up and down and da 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 da, then it's like it made me, it almost fueled whatever insecurities I may have had or questions. It made the answers to my question were like, oh, and then they were about some bull anyway. So it's kind of like, yeah. And so after that last situation, like I said, that was, gosh, now 4 years ago almost. It just made me really reevaluate things. And then that's just kind of how I am. Like when I notice a pattern, then I'll get to be like, okay, pause. Like, why does this keep happening? How did I get here again and again and again? Okay, let me just kind of chill and just kind of figure myself out, because obviously I'm putting something out there, or, I'm not paying attention to this, or just whatever, to where I keep having the same things happen over and over. So yeah, that's kind of something else I realized about why I just kind of stay single. And it's just interesting how I just keep, more and more keeps unfolding as I'm just really, I don't know, I don't really talk to people like that. I really just kind of go to work, and a lot of my energy goes into creative projects now, which is exciting because I always wanted to be in that like headspace. And my friends laugh, and my kids, because I always be like, okay, I'm about to go to the studio. It's a nice little setup for what I need in here in my closet. But it is what it is. You start somewhere. Maybe one day I'll be in a for real studio, but in the meanwhile, this gets it done. And so because of that, my mind is always, I don't know, my mind is just a lot more open lately, and just more, I pay a lot more attention to what's happening on, around me and within me, and how I'm responding to things and all that stuff. So this is something that I realize is another reason why I'm just kind of like, even though the desire is still there to be in a relationship, especially, of course, during the holidays. I feel like the holidays really always highlight all kinds of stuff. It highlights, loved ones who are no longer here. It highlights, desires that haven't, come to fruition yet, or whatever. I feel like maybe it's because I had more, but it's always like this on the holidays, but like I had more time off from work. So when I have more time off, it's hard for me to just be. I always feel like I gotta be doing. So I don't know. But this is something else I noticed. I'm sure there'll be a part 3, because, it is what it is. It's life. But that's all I got for y'all on today. Until next time.